My name's Jonathan Hicks. We're doing angles. Now this is the intro to angles video where I'm going to explain the basic concepts. I'm doing another angle facts video which will explain some of the more detailed facts you need to know, things like vertically opposite angles, corresponding alternate angles, the properties that you then use to solve various problems in geometry. But this is the basics. So what is an angle? Well, if I draw two lines that meet at a point here, the angle that's formed here is the kind of amount of arc, or the sort of amount of a full circle that would be formed by going from one round to the other. So that will be an arc. How far you've gone is the angle. So that would be quite a narrow or sharp angle, and if you had one like that, then that's a much bigger angle because you've had to spin round a much greater portion of the circle, if you like, going from one line round to the other. So that's angles. There's a few important angles you should be aware of though. If we have, if I just draw a line straight down to a point, if you go all the way around and back to where you started, angle in a full circle if you like, then that's 360 degrees. Angles are always measured in degrees. You put a little O at the top right there. That's the symbol for degrees. And that means that the biggest angle you can get is 360. So once you've filled up the whole circle, that's 360. The reason we choose 360 is mainly because it's very easily divisible. There are lots of other numbers that divide into 360. If you divide it by 2, for example, so if I have a straight line that goes down and I just do there, a point there, if we go halfway around the circle, then the angle is going to be half of 360 degrees, which is 180 degrees. And again, this has been chosen so that when you divide it down, you still get whole numbers. There are lots of numbers that will divide into 360 and still leave you with whole number answers. You don't want to have decimal point angles if you can help it, although sometimes that's what you get. But on a straight line, so halfway around the circle, that's going to be 180 degrees. And that's a very important one to remember. Probably the most important one, actually. Right, the next one then, if you have what's called a right angle, so you have an L shape, it's a quarter of the way around the whole circle. Usually you just put a box in the corner like that rather than writing the angle, but that's going to be half of 180, so this one would be 90 degrees here. So those are three very standard angles that you should be aware of. Angles in a full circle is 360, angles on a straight line are going to be 180, and a right angle is 90 degrees. Now, as well as giving it different angles, the numbers, there are some names of different angles as well. Now these are not used very commonly, so I'm going to tell you them in case you see them. You might be like, oh, that's an odd way of describing an angle, what's that? But you probably don't need to memorize these as such. So if you have an angle that is less than 90 degrees, so something like that, then we say that it is acute. So that would be an acute angle. If it's more than 90 degrees, but less than 180 degrees, so if you had something like that, then we say that's obtuse. Obtuse. So more than 90 degrees, less than 180 degrees. But if you have an angle that's more than 180 degrees, now you have to be slightly careful here because we're going to be going the long way around. Then more than 180 degrees is said to be a reflex angle. With these two, obviously you can see the angle on the inside here would actually be an obtuse angle, yeah, because it's bigger than 90 but some more than 180. But the one round on the outside there, that one will be the reflex. So again, if you went round the outside of that one, or in fact if you went round on the outside of that one, those would both be reflex angles as well. So you need to be quite careful whether you're specifying the inside angle or the outside, and obviously you just put the arc in to indicate the angle that you mean. But those are just three words, as I say, you might come across that people talk about in terms of different types of angles. So just as a quick preliminary then, leading into the angle facts video, angles are often used to solve problems in geometry. Various spatial situations require that you know what the angle is, or you try and figure it out, and then it allows you to work out other things that are useful to you. And just to show you briefly how that tends to work, if you had a straight line here and then another line that meets it at a point, if I know that this angle here is 130 degrees, let's say, then because the angles on a straight line have to add up to 180 degrees, if I wanted to work out what this angle was, I just have to work out what do I need to add to 130 to make it up to 180, because these two together must add up to 180, because angles on a straight line are always 180. So in this case, obviously, I'm going to need 50 degrees. So then 50 plus 130 would make the 180 that I need. So that's how you tend to use the various properties of angles to solve problems. Obviously that was a very simple problem and they get a lot harder, but that's kind of what you're aiming for with the angles. So those are the basic concepts. As I say, if you know that angles on a straight line up to 180 degrees, that's the main fact you should be aware of. Go and watch the angle facts video though if you want more details.